Speaker of the National Assembly.
Silent prayer or meditation. Please be seated. Honorable members, honorable members, before we proceed with today's business, I wish to announce that Ms. Hube has been designated as the Chief Whip of the Opposition. Congratulations to the member. Congratulations. Honorable members, order. I wish to also announce that the vacancies which occurred in the National Assembly owing to the resignations of Mr. P.G. Muteka and Ms. Sisio Posengwe have been filled with effect from the 2nd of August 2022 by the nominations of Mr. Timu Hale and Ms. M.M. Moduba, respectively. Lastly, the vacancy which occurred owing to the resignation of Ms. A. Stein has been filled by the nomination of Ms. A.M. Fanzane with effect from the 10th of August, 2022. Honorable members, these members have made and subscribed the oath in the Speaker's office. I welcome you all, honorable members. At this point, honorable members, yes. At this point, honorable members, I wish to recognize the President. Mr. President.
Point of order.
I'll make along a point of order. I'm now recognizing. One, sit down.
Rising on a point of
Honorable Floyd, will you please sit down? And then you raise your point of order. I've now called on the President.
But I'm permitted in terms of these rules to raise a point of order.
No, actually you're not. Until this time I've given you the opportunity to take the floor.
I want to speak.
Take a seat. I've asked Mr. President to address
the point of order first.
Speaker, you are out of order. Speaker.
Honorable.
There is a point of order being called. You are out of order, Speaker. And you are the one who's disrupting the President. You are disrupting the President. Allow the point of order before the President speaks.
Honorable Malemba.
Allow the order before the President speaks.
No,
you are disrupting the President yourself.
Honorable member, I will throw you out. I will throw you out.
But this nonsense that when we speak, you tell us to throw us out. What do you mean by that?
No.
It's nonsensical, this nonsense. It's nonsensical.
They're also nonsense,
What do you
Malima.
mean?
They're also nonsense.
No.
Don't address our speaker like that,
Honorable
Malima.
members.
Do not when people speak, threaten them about them out of the house.
Honorable member Shivambu, we have not as yet got to the point of questions. Hence, I am stopping. But I've called somebody. Once he has spoken, then you raise your point of order. Honorable Shibambu. Honorable Shibambu, I'm listening, and will you please listen too? Just learn to listen. Because it's not as though you will not be given your opportunity to raise your point of order. The point I'm raising, immediately after this, I called on the President. And now you are saying point of order.
Yes.
What point of order is that?
Listen to that. That is, I want to speak to you. That in the last sitting of this House, when we're taking questions to the President of the ANC, he said here that you can't can't just block all members of Parliament who are on the virtual platform, because that equals to evicting them from Parliament. In terms of rules of the National Assembly, we are permitted perpetually to make interjections to point some of the wrongdoings that happened from where you are now. But in the last sitting of Parliament, you just cancelled all of us and never allowed us any space to talk. We wrote to you to indicate that what we effectively did was to evict all of us from Parliament, and that is unconstitutional. To deny members of Parliament their right to speak here in Parliament. And we have written to you on several occasions that instead of this hybrid session, which was justifiable under the stricter COVID lockdown regulations, why can't we constitute ourselves as a Parliament, all of us? We have burnt the building where we're supposed to be meeting. And now we're reduced to these virtual sittings where we have got the power to just evict everyone else out of Parliament and deny them of their constitutional right and obligation to raise the necessary interventions whenever there is wrongdoing happening in this particular house. That is the point of order that we're raising, that a proper constitution of this house has to be all of us gathered or permitted to gather. It was understandable under COVID regulations and lockdowns, but currently,
thank you very much, Honorable.
We're not gathering all of us to hold this president of yours accountable in terms of what is required in this particular house. That is the point of what I'm raising.
You have made your point. May I now address you? You've raised your point. You've raised your point. Take a note of. Allow me to address you and give me that opportunity. Honorable members, in terms of Rule 26(2) and 3, the Speaker must maintain and preserve order of and proper decorum of the House. Rules 81 of the National Assembly provides circumstances when the Speaker can control microphones in the chamber. The rule states that in the event of a member not showing due respect to the authority of or not obeying an order or ruling or direction of the presiding officer or acting in a disruptive or grossly disorderly manner in the House, the presiding officer may disable or switch off the microphone being used by such a member or order that be done. Further, Honorable Shivam, Rule 882 provides that before proceeding in terms of sub-rule 81, the presiding officer must inform the member and the House of the intention to do so. Now, I do not wish us to go back to the debates of June the 4th, or whatever the date, and the subsequent disturbances in the House. But like us, I've heard you, and I hope you've listened to me, and you are well acquainted with the rules. I want us to proceed now.
On a point of order, Speaker.
Speaker. Yes.
On a point of order, Speaker.
Honorable, sit down, Honorable Shivambo. I've not given you the floor. Honorable Malema.
Speaker, 2 points that I would like to raise with you. The fact that you're saying you don't want to go back there, it's highly respected, but it is befitting that before we proceed, you present a report of the cases that we reported to you on sexual harassments by the security on how they went about dealing with eviction of female members. So it is important that we get that report, and through that report, perhaps there could be some recommendations, I don't know, where you now announce how such matters could be handled going forward. That's number one. Number two, Speaker, we were meeting in a manner we're meeting now during COVID-19, and we cannot, when the regulations have been scrapped, continue to meet in this manner we're meeting, because you are doing this deliberately to protect the executive, to be held accountable properly, because you are micromanaging us through switching off the microphones and then removing some of us from the platforms. All we are asking is, let this parliament be postponed today, and there must be a proper sitting of members of parliament, all of us, under one roof.
Order, honorable members.
The executive.
Order, will you please allow Mr. Malema, who has given the floor, to finish what he's saying? Order. Order.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank
continue. Honorable Malema.
Yes, I'm finishing, Speaker.
Yes, finish.
The way we are constituted, it is extremely wrong. There are no longer COVID restrictions. Postpone the sitting, arrange a proper venue, and allow all of us to come under one roof. Because the way you are doing is tantamount to protecting the president of the ANC and the executive from being held properly accountable to Parliament. It's our duty to hold these people accountable. But the way you have arranged, you have made it so easy to cut us out, switch off the mics, because you can do so willy-nilly. Unlike when we are physically all there to hold the executive accountable, including him, this president who's running away and responding.
Point made, Honorable Malema. I've understood the issue you're raising, and that is a matter which is on the table, where members are calling on us to go back to a physical form of sitting. Just to say, on the 7th of September, next week, Wednesday, all the chief whips of the different parties will be meeting with the speaker, and one of the items on the agenda is this particular issue, if that satisfies you.
And then the report on the abuse of our female members?
The issue of Honorable Dlakude. Honorable Dlakude.
Speaker,
Your mic? I haven't muted
I
your
have
mic.
the right to speak as a member of this House. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, according to our rules, today's business is about the questions to the President, because this is the House where the executive is held accountable to Parliament. Then the other reports of the sexual harassment and also the issue of the bigger venue or rented venue, that one will be discussed next week. That was the agreement in the Chief Whip Forum, where all Chief Whips were represented. We discussed this matter, and the Speaker and all the presiding officers will give us a report in that particular meeting, not today. This sitting is about the questions to the President. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Dlakude. Honorable members, order. Before I take your hand, Honorable Mkalipi, if I may respond to the issue which has been raised by Honorable Malema. One, there's an issue which has been responded to by Honorable Dlakude. But there is a matter which also Honorable Malema has raised of the report on the matter which was raised here in this chamber on the last day. Now, just to say that that report indeed was received, that report is going to be discussed by the Whipari on the 7th of December, on Friday, actually. It is on the agenda of your meeting of the Rules Committee. But in addition, if I may say this, actually, honorable members of the EFF, because you are the complainants, you also are aware that I have given you a copy of that report. So it's not like you're not familiar with the report and the issues coming out of that report. As complainants, you have been afforded with a copy of the report so that when you interact with the speakers, with the whips on Friday, at least you'll be conversant with the issues in the same way that it affects me as a person who was presiding on that day, and I have gone through the report and I will be part of that meeting. Yes, Honorable Mendy.
yeah, thank you very much, Speaker. Speaker, the first part you responded to of switching off the microphones, Rule 82. Before proceedings in terms of Rule 8 sub-rule 1, the presiding officer must inform the member, not members, of the House of the intention to do so. So what you do, you take a blanket approach and switch off everyone, not one member. When you are dealing with a member's conduct, it's a member's conduct, not EFF member. It's one member. That's number one. Number two, the report you say we have a privilege to see. Indeed, we have a privilege to see. But we are going to have a problem if we are, as women here in this house, when we are being harassed and violated by men called by you. You equally,
to be honest, Honorable Mendy, you are out of order because this is not the item for the day.
Against us.
Honorable,
You even list men. When did you see a woman touching a man here? You even listed men that were violated by women of the EFF. That is not true.
Honorable Member,
That whatever day it is, whether Friday or Saturday,
Honorable Mendy,
we are going to
this
reject
item will be on the agenda of a meeting, and if you want a debate on that report when it has been processed by the chief whip, okay, sit down there.
It's not going to be debated.
The matter now is the
go.
president must answer questions.
Men that they must open counter charges against women. As a woman speaker, you can't go and tell men to go and open counter charges against men.
Okay, take a seat. Honorable Fatebe.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I'm rising on the rule number 92, which is very clear that if a member is aggrieved of the House because of the ruling of a presiding officer, must be able to proceed to the Rules Committee so that you can raise that particular point. But the ruling of the presiding officer is final in the House. I request that that rule be observed. Chair, thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Khatebe. Honorable Letsie from the virtual platform, and you will be the last one. Honorable members, we now have to proceed with the business of the day, and the business of the day is answers by the President to your questions which you have raised.
Speaker,
Honorable Letsie.
Speaker, you have
Thank you very much.
as if you forgot me.
Thank you very much.
Speaker,
Thank you very
you have
much,
recognized
Speaker.
me before, but it seems as if you have forgot me. Can you recognize me?
Actually, Honorable Mkhalipe, I never recognized you. I said I did. I said
To me, you did.
Wait.
Speaker, you forgot. You did.
Honorable Letsie.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. Speaker,
What I wanna do.
Sit down,
Thank you
Honorable Mkhalipe. I will recognize you, and you will be the last one.
Oh.
You will be
No,
the
thank you.
last. Letsie.
thank you, Speaker. I hope I'm audible. Speaker,
You are not going, honorable members. No,
Speaker.
Honorable Shibambu. Honorable Shibambu. No, stop it. For the sake of, don't say what. For the sake of the decorum of the House.
Speaker,
For the sake
Speaker, please don't point at me.
Kalapansi,
You've got no right to point at me.
sit down.
Don't use your finger to point at me.
Kalapansi,
I didn't come with the mother yet. Don't do
Tambo.
that.
Yes,
Don't
you
do
are,
that.
Mamela, sit down. You're right, you didn't come with your mother. My sons are older than you.
But you are now coming very
No,
It's here,
thank you.
and let's follow
Thank you,
by
Speaker.
Mkhalipe.
now.
Mkhalipe.
Yeah. Speaker,
Honorable Letsie,
yes. Can I continue now?
followed by Honorable Mkhalipe.
Yes. Can I continue, Speaker?
Yes, Baba.
Thank you. Now I was saying, Speaker, can your table assistants, the sound that comes from the mics there in the House is extremely low, and it's going to deprive us of an opportunity to listen to some of those who would be asking follow-up questions in the House.
Okay.
So can you please assist with the mics from the House? Thanks.
Thank you very much, Honorable Letsie. I'm sure the people, the IT system will sort this out. Honorable Mkhalipe. Honorable ICT people, can you fix the
Yeah.
com system?
Yeah, Speaker.
Okay. All right.
Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Mkhalipe.
Yeah, I just want to say to you, Speaker, rising on a point of order, rules
Yes.
92. Speaker, don't try to manage us. 92. And you are not the speaker when. Speaker, don't try to manage us because the issue of opening parliament is an old issue. We've been writing to you. Now we are trying to manage us to tell us about the matter or the meeting that will take place on the 7th of September. So we're saying to you now, today, we're supposed to have your president here, the president of the ANC. He's not here. Where is he? He's not here. So we are saying to you, please give us a response because when you are here, Speaker, we are not representing ourselves here. The people out there, they want to know when are we going to have all members of parliament as per the constitution come and ensure that the executive is accountable to the members of the public. The second point, Speaker, is the point that was raised by the national chair. Speaker, last time when we evicted the spokesperson of the EFF, you also block all of us and you don't observe the rules yourself. So today, ensure that people who are also, yes, we must admit and also apologize because we are also against the rules, Speaker. And today, they are our members who is on the platform and ensure that you don't block them because they are also members. But lastly, is to say that the country has been open parliament. We have been saying that let us go even to Khayelitsha. We have to identify public spaces there, community halls, are there, so we
Thank
can
you
go
very
all
much.
of us to Kailicha in order for everyone to come and account.
Thank you
Please,
very much.
please respond, because even the public is waiting for the response.
Thank you very
Don't
much.
tell us about the meeting of September 7. It does not hold waters. Thank you, Speaker.
Honorable Kalipi, thank you very much. You've made your point. The main issue is the opening up of Parliament. And I'm saying you chief whips will be meeting on Friday. And one of the issues you are discussing and finalizing to find a way forward, it is precisely that issue. Before you, there is an order here. And I'm just responding to that, number one. Number two, on this matter, honorable members, of blocking everybody. If I may respond to that, actually, it is not just members of the EFF who were cut off. It's all members who were on the virtual platform from all political parties. And it has everything, wait. And it has everything to do, with maintaining the decorum of the House, because people were streaming on the virtual platform. And I did explain that. I am now closing this matter, honorable members, and I'm allowing Khatebe.
On a point of order.
Oh, I've not given you the floor.
Point of order.
There's a point of order here.
But I've raised a point of order.
He had a point of order. He had a point of order.
You must have a
Sit down, Mansukuma. Don't stand when you are raising a point of order. For the sake of the decorum of the House.
The rules say we must stand up.
No, don't. Just sit down and raise your hand and say point of order.
But the rules say we must.
No, akusembakheni lama. No,
don't talk to us.
Speaker, but the rule says we must stand up. Confirm the rules.
But guys, can
We are
you
not
imagine
going to
if
run
all
the
of
parliament.
us stood up?
We won't run parliament according to your feelings. Follow the rules. The rule says we must stand up. Your feeling might be down, but the rule says we must stand up.
I'm not a speaker.
Honorable members, okay. Thank you,
Where is the president of the EFF
for
in this
that
thing?
lecture. Honorable members, I want to make a plea to all of us.
Why are you looking for me? I'm not your president. When I'm not a president of the republic, look for your big nose president here. Why are you looking for me?
I'm making a plea to all of you, which is that, honorable members, when you still have your hand up and you are asking to be recognized, please take your seat. You'll be recognized. This is a small room. We can't all stand and say point of order. That's all I'm saying. Honorable Khatebe.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. The first point of order I'll raise is on Rule 84. The Honorable Malema has just used an unparliamentary language by calling you Wena. It cannot be right. You cannot be called Wena. You are the head of this institution. Number two, Chairperson, Honorable Speaker, I'm still rising on Rule number 92, point of order, subsection 12. That rule is very clear, that when the presiding officer has made a determination, that determination cannot be challenged here on the floor. I request if the members are aggrieved, they must take it where it's supposed to go to. On the third order, which I'm raising, Chairperson, the Speaker, is on Rule number 6. It's very clear that if an unpredictable situation arises, just like the situation whereby the members are getting rowdy, they're making the House uncontrollable, you can use Rule number 6, whereby you can make a determination yourself, and then that rule will be passed over, that ruling will be passed over to the Rules Committee. But that ruling cannot be challenged. So we're not here to open up your rulings of the past sitting. If there are any people who are aggrieved, they know where they must go to. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. Honorable Zulu. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I rise in accordance with Rule 64. Isicelo nje, Chairperson, ukuthi there is a time when a nation must decide and a house must decide that it shall be able to conduct itself in the manner in which the people of South Africa expect. So according to that rule which I've indicated, Chairperson, isicelo nje ukuthi sifuna abantu kubezwa, but mangabe bafuna sibezwe, but mangabe bafuna ukuthi sibezwe kodwa singabalaleli, it will not be helpful. I, for one,
That's plagiarism. Intellectually, that's plagiarism. Quote the person.
I
Honorable
for one,
Malema, please.
I, for
Honorable
one,
Zulu is on the floor, please.
I, for one, Chairperson, have said in this House, with due respect, that I'm the last person to request, after having been part and parcel of people or members of this House who've consistently howled, consistently made noise. We came to a point where I, for one, said, can we at least lead our people in a way that they will continuously respect us? And under that rule that I indicated, Chairperson, there is a limit to which you yourself, as the speaker, can keep on taking interruptions that are very deliberate and very well planned in order for us not to continue with the work of this House. And honorable who is saying plagiarism or whatever he calls it, isizulu lesengisikhulumayo, isizulu sabo bonke abantu, hayi isizulu sakwaZulu phela. La abantu bekhona, yinto okufuneka siyikhulume leyo. Let there be dignity in the House once and for all.
Thank you very much, Honorable Zulu. Thank you, Honorable Zulu. Honorable members.
And then you didn't. That's
Honorable
that was a quote.
No, man, Honorable. Please.
That was not Zulu. That was a quote.
Honorable
Quote, I quote and I unquote.
I'm not going to allow
please,
any points of order now. I want us to proceed.
But can you stop Julius also?
We are saying also, you mean he has not been stopped? What have I been? I said, Honorable Malema, stop it. Not once, not twice. What do you want me to do? Honorable members, will you please, all of you, I'm not going to allow you now, Honorable Shivambo. We are now continuing with the business of, I'm not going, because you are diverting us from what we are trying to do.
For your permission, I'm just indicating to you that all need to speak. I've got the right to speak.
Honorable Shivambo, then if you don't,
I've got the right to speak.
if you don't want me to recognize, if you don't want me, sit down, Honorable.
Sit down for what? Because I want to raise the point.
Honorable Shivambo,
I'm permitted by the
Honorable Shivambo, sit down. You don't have the floor.
You must.
Honorable Shivambo, number 2, you are not going to speak because I have ruled that we are now proceeding with the business of the day. Honorable Shivambo, this is the 3rd time I am pleading with you. And now that...
Point of order, Speaker. Point of order, Speaker.
Where's the... Honorable Shivambo, I've raised it thrice.
Point of order, Speaker.
Yes, Honorable, where are you?
Yes, Speaker. Point of order, Speaker.
Honorable Tambo.
Yes, yes.
By Munyaya.
Thank you very much, Speaker. I rise on Rule 92 in terms of procedure, and I'm going to address 2 points in that regard. Number 1, we have asked that we have an open discussion in terms of the blocking of members here, because you quote Rule 8.2 here, that to remove members on the basis of disorderly conduct. And you said members in the plural.
We passed that one now.
The plural. Can I finish, Speaker? Can I be indulged?
That one. No, because you are delaying the process.
Can I be indulged? But Speaker, it's my point of order. You've given me the platform.
It's not a point of order.
Second, Speaker, in terms of procedure, the president and party leader of the EFF here rose and said that we must discuss the report in terms of the investigation of gender-based
I
violence.
have
which happened in
provided
the House.
guidance
Can
that
I finish my
the
point?
report
Speaker?
will be discussed
Can I
by
finish
the
my point?
weekend. Sit down,
If you allow me to
honorable
finish my
member.
point.
Honorable member,
Parliament released a statement
honorable
from
member,
that investigation
all the
saying
issues
that
you
there
are
was violence
raising,
on both sides. But now you
Honorable-
don't want us to debate the same report you released the statement on.
honorable
You released
member,
a statement on that report
honorable
saying there
member,
was violence on both sides. But
his
the
name?
same report said members
name?
of the EFF who are females were touched inappropriately, yet it said that
honorable member, the
Who released
issues
the
you
statement
are
on that
raising,
report?
Tambo,
Why
are
can't we
the
discuss
same
that report now?
issues which have been discussed
Oh,
before.
Speaker,
I'm
but
not
we
going to
haven't
allow for a discussion of this matter.
must
Zakute
apologize
followed
for
by
removing members
honorable
undemocratically in
Sit
this
down.
house on the virtual platform on a
Honorable,
blanket basis.
honorable member, sit down.
Order,
Take a seat.
order.
Yes, Munyai.
Honorable Chair, Honorable Speaker, I'm rising on Rule 69 of using the point of order to disrupt the sitting of Parliament. So therefore, I appeal that we must allow the proceeding of Parliament to proceed, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable members. Honorable members.
Well-
Honorable members,
Point of order, Speaker.
sit down, Honorable Tambo.
Point of order, Speaker.
Please take a
note me.
seat.
Please note me, Speaker.
Please take a seat. Tambo, Honorable Tambo, please take a seat.
We're
Honorable,
all sitting.
can you please switch off your mic?
Like this last time, Speaker, you kicked me out without knowing.
Honorable members, we now proceed with the business of the day. And as we proceed with the business of the day, as we proceed, Honorable Malema, please, no comments again.
What do you mean?
No comments again.
No.
Out of order. Wow.
It was not me, Speaker. It was not me. I know
Okay,
my
thank
statement
you.
is easy to pronounce, but it's not me.
Okay, thank you very much. Honorable members, we now proceed. We now proceed with the business of the day. And allow me to recognize Mr. President first before we start with the questions. Mr. President. Honorable the President.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you.
Let me start off by apologizing
There's
for
no point
not
of
being.
order. I've recognized the President. There is no
Let me
point
start
of
off.
order. Honorable President, will you please continue?
Let me start off by apologizing for being in the House. It was my wish and desire to be personally in the House.
On a
But
point of order, Speaker. On a point of order, Speaker. On a point of order, Speaker.
Ay, Shivambu,
On a point of order, Speaker.
don't do that. No, you can, but don't. You may not do it. Yes, you can do it, but you may not do it. Stop screaming at us. No, stop it. It's not right, Honorable Member.
Speaker, you're
Not
out of
right, Honorable Shivambo. I know you are the chief whip of the party, but your
Point of order,
conduct,
Speaker.
your conduct is
Speaker.
not correct. Yes, Lakute, Honorable Member.
On a point of order, Speaker. On a point of order, Speaker. Speaker.
this
On a
Labude
point
just
of order, Speaker.
asked like that.
Speaker. On a point of order.
Honorable Lakute, you may continue.
Order, Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Speaker,
Thank you
on a
very
point
much.
of order.
Honorable
Point of order,
Speaker.
Speaker. Speaker, on a point of order. Of order. Point of order. Point of order, Speaker. Point of order.
Honorable members, I see, honorable member, not an ANC meeting. Of course. Honorable Shivambo, I'm disappointed in you. You are the most disruptive person.
Disappointed.
You are.
We are disappointed
So disruptive.
in you.
Now, honorable members, the point is, if you are going to stand and all the screaming point of order, I
Point of
will
order,
not
Speaker.
recognize you.
Can you recognize me, Speaker? I want to speak on a point of order.
Honorable members, I will not
Point of order, Speaker.
not allow 5-6 of you to stand and say point of order.
Point of order.
And you believe that this is an august house.
But it's you, Speaker, who's causing problem in the house.
No, stop screaming, young lady. Stop screaming.
On the point of order, Speaker.
Honorable, you.
On a point of order.
Point of order.
On a point of order, Speaker.
I will now recognize
On a point of order, Speaker.
Honorable Monji. He had a point of order followed by Honorable Malema.
Point of order.
Followed by Honorable Malema, and I close this. Thank you.
Speaker. Before that, raise the point of order. Speaker, respectfully.
Yeah. Honorable members, will you please
we can't hear.
Point of order. What criteria
Please.
is it to recognize point of order?
I am taking a criteria that suggests that people have been raising hands and I've allowed many people who are speaking for the 7th time, honorable member.
We can't hear Honorable
Of course, it's parliament. It's not an ANC meeting. You are right. Now, will you please take your seat? Will you please take your seat? Honorable Pungubele, followed by Honorable Malema, and I will not take points of order again. Yes.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker,
Honorable Shivambu, will you please mute your mic? Thank you.
thank you, Honorable Speaker. I'm rising in terms of Rule 69. Oh, Rule 69 is against the abuse of the point of order to disrupt the proceedings. I'm calling upon you.
Speaker.
Honorable Khalid,
No.
please allow Honorable Kungubele to make his point. Hi, Honorable Kalipi, take your seat. Take your seat, Honorable Kalipi. Yes, Honorable Kungubele.
I'm saying Rule 69, Honorable Speaker, must be invoked because it has been breached several times. They are using point of order to disrupt the proceeding. It borders on turning this parliament into a street bash. So we are requesting Honorable Speaker to invoke Rule 69.
Thank you very much, Honorable Kungubele.
On a point of order.
Actually, Rule 69 states that members may not engage in grossly disorderly conduct in the House. Members may not deliberately, in a sense, create serious disorder and disruption. And this is what the points of order are doing. Number 2, repeatedly undermining the authority of the presiding officer or repeatedly refusing to obey rulings of the presiding officer or repeatedly disrespecting or interrupting the presiding officer whilst the latter is addressing the House. Lastly, persisting in making serious allegations against a member without adequate substantiation or allowing the correct procedure. And that is what Rule 69, as stated by Honorable Bungubele, says. Honorable members, I have allowed you to raise several points of order. And I didn't do so because I'm crazy, I'm mad. I did that because I believe in allowing people to express themselves until it gets to that point where you cut the line and say it can't be it because the house is becoming disorderly. And that is where we are. We are at that point. And I'm making this point for the second time now. Honorable members, I am still allowing Mr. President to then raise the matter he was raising. And then we proceed with the questions for the day. Thank you, honorable members.
Speaker, you said I was going to follow after Honorable Mondli.
You're right. I did say, I'm sorry, Mr. President, I did say. Honorable Malema, raise your matter.
I hear the people who are speaking about turning parliament into street bashes. So we have not been to street bashes. So regulars will know how street bashes run. But the point I was making is that it is wrong for staff members to switch off the mics without your instruction. Members of parliament want to rise and raise issues. All the mics are off, including when Honorable Ngungubelo was trying to speak. The mics were showing a green light, which is a demonstration that some mere administrator who thinks he's got the power he doesn't have switched off the mics without your instructions. Please control those administrators. They are nothing else but administrators who are elected to be there, and we can't be mooted by administrators who know nothing about being elected. Please.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Malema. Honorable members, as I had ruled, I said this is the last.
Never been to a street bash.
Remove that one,
Ronald Lamula, honorable members, will you please switch off your mic? Please mute. Thank you very much. Mute.
I've never been to a street bash with Lamula. He was
It's misleading the house that he has never been to a street bash.
Speaker.
Honorable members.
Point of order, Speaker.
What is the point of order?
Can that minister who just appeared there, he's lying. He must not say
no,
the president of the EFF, please.
Don't do that.
Speaker, please.
You know
please.
that language is not, used. It's unparliamentary.
Speaker, you just read the rules now. You read the rules now. You said there's no member that must cast aspersion on any member here.
You can't
that
say
minister must withdraw now.
Is lying. Will you please withdraw that?
I will withdraw that.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, that's fine.
Honorable
Speaker,
members,
absolutely, I withdraw. Speaker.
Thank you. Thank you.
Speaker, I withdraw that. Please,
allow me to understand Speaker, what the minister was saying. What was he saying?
Yes, Speaker. The minister said that the president of the EFF and the incoming president of South Africa has been to a street bash, which is a lie. But
now you see, I did not hear that.
You wish. Can I finish, Speaker?
Honorable,
Speaker.
Can you withdraw that, man? Honorable Lamula, we want to proceed on withdraw that.
Speaker, hello, sorry, Speaker. I'm still on the floor, Speaker.
No, but you're down now.
How do you know, Speaker?
No, but you've told me the essence.
No, I didn't say that.
Essence of what?
My point of order can be in two parts. I've been asking to speak.
You know what? Honorable
Speaker,
Tambo,
please can you withdraw? That's number one. Number two, Speaker.
Honorable Tambo, please take your seat.
Speaker, I've got another part.
Take your seat.
To my point of order.
Take your seat, man. Take your seat.
On a point of order,
take your seat, please.
On a point of order,
please do take your seat.
On a point of order,
will you please take your seat?
On a point of order,
I am pleading with you to take your seat. I am equally pleading with you. You are saying you are being aggressive. That is a point of order. You want to speak, and I'm pleading with you to take your seat because I had ruled that we have come to the end of the points of order. Yes, and now we proceed.
Lamula must withdraw. Lamula must withdraw.
Lamula must withdraw. Unparliamentary. To call President Ela.
How does he accuse a party leader of attending street bashes? Lamula must withdraw now. You made Lamula must withdraw.
Lamula must withdraw that thing.
Honorable Lamula.
Yes, Honorable Speaker. Yes,
Honorable Lamula.
Yes, Honorable Speaker.
Will you please withdraw your statement on the street bash?
Yeah, in the interest of peace, but I did not say he attended. I said that is misleading the House.
Unconditionally, man. Just withdraw.
Yeah, in the interest of peace, I withdraw, Honorable Speaker.
Mamela.
They are in charge here.
Honorable Lamula. Honorable Lamula.
Honorable Speaker. I withdraw,
Honorable Lamula. I am not going to. I don't want that. In the interest of this, I just want you to withdraw.
I withdraw, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much. Valage, mute.
But we can't hear him, boss.
Thank you. Honorable members, we proceed. Mr. President, will you please continue and finish so that we start with the questions?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. As I was saying, I wish to apologize for not being there in person. And I'd like to thank you for giving me the latitude to be able to answer these questions on the virtual platform. I have a family situation. My wife has had a procedure, and I'd like to be there to support her as soon as I finish answering these questions. So I'd like to thank you for allowing me to be in a position to answer the questions on the online platform. And thank you very much for that.
Thank you, the Honorable the President. Honorable members, we now proceed with the business of the day. The business of the day is the only item on today's order paper is questions addressed to the President. There are 4 parliamentary questions.
Point of order, Speaker.
On each question.
Point of order, Speaker.
I've said I'm not allowing any more points of order.
No, Speaker. I think it's very important if the President has pressing family issues, we can excuse him and he can go take care of that.
Man, I don't want to hear that. It's okay. But I don't want comments anymore. There are 4 parliamentary questions. Supplementary questions. Parties have given an indication of which questions their members wish to pose as supplementary questions. Adequate notice was given to parties for this purpose. This was done to facilitate participation of members who are connecting to the sitting through the virtual platform. The members will pose supplementary questions, will be recognized by the presiding officer. In allocating opportunities for supplementary questions, the principle of fairness, amongst others, has been applied. If a member who is supposed to ask a supplementary question through the virtual platform is unable to do so due to technological difficulties, the party whip on duty will be allowed to ask the question on behalf of their member. When all the parliamentary questions have been asked by the President, answered by we will proceed to the next question on the question paper. The first question has been asked by the Honorable M.S. Shabane. Honorable M.S. Shabane, I now invite the Honorable the President.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the issue of migration is an important developmental issue within the African Union and SADC, Southern African Development Community, and indeed across the world. As a consequence, it features quite often in bilateral engagements between South Africa and various African countries that we interact with on an ongoing basis. A good example is that in November in 2021, during the state visit of President Uhuru Kenyatta, Kenya and South Africa signed a migration agreement that includes the return of third country immigrants that passed illegally through one of our countries en route to the other country. I also met President Muhammadu Buhari, President of the Republic of Nigeria, towards the end of 2021 in Nigeria.
On a point of order, Speaker.
That is the point of order.
Honorable Speaker, eyona nto ke ebesiyilindele kupresident ukuthi aye ngo apho kufele khona ithole. Athe phala elaplazi lakhe.
Honorable member.
Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker,
please take your seat. The first question is on migration. It is nothing the president
makathethe ngalento ama-Afrika awayilindele. Indaba yasephalaphala nemali ephansi kwamatrasi
Honorable Matulelwa. Honorable Matulelwa. Honorable Matulelwa, the first question on the order paper is a question on migration. It has nothing to do with Pala Pala. You will raise the Pala Pala issue when the time comes. Please take your seat. That was the first question, Honorable Member. Switch off your mic. Thank you. Please continue.
Point of order, Speaker.
There is no point of order until the president has finished his question.
I'm entitled to a point of order.
Until he has finished answering the question, take your seat.
I get that, Speaker, but I'm entitled to a point of order.
Mahutwe, sit down. Take your seat.
Rule 92 says I'm entitled to a point of order, Speaker.
Honorable Shirwa Talapans.
Speaker, ngicela point of order. I am entitled to a point of order in the House, whether you like it or not.
Honorable members, I had said that was the last I've accepted, Honorable.
What rule? What rule?
And I said,
what rule?
On the basis that,
what rule are you using?
Speaker, it's not up to you all the time. We are entitled to point of order.
Which rule are you using?
Honorable member.
69.
Which
69.
rule are you using
Honorable
to suppress a point of order?
You are not going to disrupt the House.
No. But what rule are you using to suppress a point of order?
Disrupt the House.
69. 69.
We will allow for him to respond to the issues you raised in the question paper. What I will not allow is at a point when the president or any member of the executive for that matter is responding to a question and then you say a point of order even before you've had the answer. So I'm not going to allow
point of order is allowed in any part of this sitting.
But in this
you can raise a point of order any time. We want an explanation of the man in the mattress and pillows of Cyril Ramaphosa today. We want the man which is in the pillows.
The money is not number one. Pala Pala is not number one on the list of questions on the order paper.
Yes, but it's a priority.
We are dealing with question one on the
number
order
one
paper.
in the country.
Yes, Honorable Member.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I'm rising on Rule 92, subsection 12. Honorable Speaker, you have made a ruling around.
So who said German Cat must speak?
Around
why German Cat is speaking, Speaker?
Around
why German Cat is on the floor? Did you recognize him? Speaker, why German Cat is speaking?
Please.
Why German Cat is speaking?
Will you please?
You didn't recognize him.
The people who are violating that rule are evicted. Thank you.
Speaker.
Honorable members.
Speaker.
There is no amount of confusion. There is no amount of screaming or disruption of the session, which will prevent us from proceeding with the discussion today. Now,
Speaker.
Honorable members, now.
Speaker.
I don't know who's saying speaker, but will you please, I'm on the floor now. I'm now on the floor. Thank you. Now, honorable members, Rule 70 states that if the presiding officer is of the opinion that a member is deliberately contravening a provision of the rules, or that a member is disregarding the authority of the chair,
or that a member's conduct is grossly disorderly, he or she may order the member to leave the chamber immediately for the remainder of the day's sitting. Honorable members, I just thought as a point of reminder, honorable members should take cognizance of
it's intimidation.
As a threat. You mean as a threat?
That's intimidation.
It's not intimidation.
It is intimidation.
So what is it?
Why do you want to remind us that you are going to evict us?
You are going to be evicted.
When you have not even heard
If you
the conduct
to raise a point of order.
Honorable members,
No, you can't intimidate
not even heard the
us.
point of order.
honorable members, I have closed all points of order.
On what rule? On what rule are you closing points of order?
On the rule that people are using points of order.
There's no rule like that. No rule like that. No rule like that. No rule like that.
Honorable members,
Then kusembageni ke.
will you
Sisebenzisa rules zasembageni.
will you please now? I
Not
have
a crowd.
requested the honorable Chi,
Honorable Speaker.
honorable Chi, the one who asked the first question.
Honorable Speaker.
Yes, thank you. Please continue. Honorable Malema, I'm not allowing points of order now anymore. And I think there's an understanding.
There's no such a rule out.
Honorable Speaker, honors, just a quick one. The whip of the ANC, they call him Honorable German Carter. I don't know his name. He spoke and didn't recognize him. The last one that spoke. And he didn't.
Honorable Malema, I've taken note of your point. Honorable Khatebe, you're talking about Honorable Khatebe.
I don't know his name. German Carter, I don't know his name.
Honorable Khatebe had been recognized. I did recognize him.
Okay.
Honorable members, I said no more points of order. Honorable members, we are going to continue with this session. I know that a statement has been made that perhaps the session should come to an end. This session will not come to an end. We will proceed with the business of the House together. Now, Honorable Mr. President, you were at the tail end of your response.
But Speaker, there's a question of the matras and migration because people are migrating to Namibia there. Stealing money in Namibia, people were using helicopters of the state. Migration, can we be given an update by the president as to what happened with the migration which he violated in terms of what happened?
Last time, Honorable Shivambo, Honorable, yes, he knows it's 69.
Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Shivambo,
Honorable Speaker.
you are about to leave the House.
Honorable Speaker.
Whoa.
Yes, you are about to leave the House.
Speaker.
Sit down. I said no more points of
Honorable
order.
Speaker.
Take your seat.
No, it's a point of exigence.
Take your seat. There is no exigence. Take your seat. Take your seat, Tambo.
There's an
Take your seat. Take your seat. Order, Speaker. Order. Order. Order, Speaker. Order. Order, Speaker. Order, Speaker. I'm not going to allow. I'm not allowing a point of order.
Can I call a point on you, Speaker?
Allowing for a point of order.
Can I call a point of order on you, Speaker? On you.
Are using the point of order to distract us.
Can I call a point of order on you, Speaker, please?
Even to me, you can write to me and point that.
Don't be agitated, Speaker, as presiding officer.
I have no choice if your people are screaming.
You can't be agitated.
Now, Honorable Member.
Speaker, the President must respond to the issues. He must respond to the issues pertaining to the abuse of women and the abduction of women in Parapara Farm. That is what is at the center of what he should be responding to, because in a country like this, we cannot, when women are being killed harmlessly, and the President does that as a
Who has recognized you? Who has recognized
and
you?
you are saying to us, he must not be held to account.
Honorable Preza, will you
Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Preza.
Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Preza, will you please leave the House?
On what basis?
Honorable Teza,
What basis?
will you please?
Speaker,
Basis.
you didn't warn him. You didn't warn him.
Basis.
Speaker,
Speaker.
Speaker,
Basis.
like you did with
You
Bambo.
haven't given me the warning.
Warn him. You didn't warn him.
Leave the house.
Please, like you did with Bambo.
Honorable member.
Honorable Speaker, the way you want, the way I just wait.
You please.
Honorable Speaker,
Remember
Honorable
house.
Speaker, the same way you want Bambo, please warn him. You didn't warn him, Speaker.
Remember.
Speaker, you didn't warn him.
Honorable Teza, Kosnete Tokwana, please leave the house.
You did not warn him.
Leave the house.
Speaker, you didn't warn him like you did with Bambo.
Leave the house. No.
Speaker, you didn't warn him.
Honorable
Warn him
Teza,
first.
leave the house. No. No.
I was expecting.
Honorable Teza, I called you more than 3 times. Please leave the house, Honorable Teza.
Honorable Speaker, you warned Shibambo and said to him, you will evict him if he doesn't listen to you. You have not
Leave the
done
house.
that, sir.
Call the PPS.
Please warn him.
You must leave the house. Thank you.
Ufuna usibulala manje, uyaqala. You are calling those people.
You must leave the house.
Speaker.
You didn't warn him properly, Speaker.
Speaker, you can't. You read the warning. This is exactly what we have warned you about. You can't use a blanket approach. You see the violence we're talking about.
Honorable Paulson, Honorable Paulson, you may as well leave.
No, you can't do that.
No, Speaker. No.
The Speaker, ibangela chaos kule House Speaker. Uyibangela chaos. Why ubangela chaos kanje?
Now, Honorable Speaker,
You can't take Honorable Paulson out.
Honorable Paulson was the first one to obstruct the PPS from removing the honorable member.
Why are you removing?
Can I say this?
Paulson was
Honorable
going to
Paulson was the first one.
To bring back our member here.
Honorable Shibambo
Paulson must go and play wrestling.
Speaker,
This is not a wrestling ring.
Now the
please.
next one, Honorable Paulson is gone. Honorable Tenjua, what's that name there? Honorable Tenjana, will you please leave the house?
For what?
Obstructing the PPS.
No.
Obstructing the PPS.
Why?
On
Why?
out.
Why?
You know what you did.
What? What rules are you using now?
Why
Honorable-
is he
You know
leaving
what
the
you
house?
You are a member
Honorable
of that person.
Why?
we help you run the house, please.
But you know what you did.
Why? Tell us. Tell us what you
You know
did.
what you did. Puma.
Speaker, can I help you?
Point of order, Speaker.
Speaker, can I
Point of
help
order,
you?
Speaker.
Mute your masks. Your mics, please. Honorable Tenjuan, no member, to all of you, no member may in any manner whatsoever physically intervene in, prevent, that's what you did. Kuma Puti, Honorable Tenjuana,
Speaker,
Sergeant in arms, please remove Honorable Tenjuana.
Speaker. Speaker.
Honorable Malema, I'm not allowing any more points of order now because points of order have been used to disrupt us. Honorable Tenjuana.
I want to appeal to you to come down, please. Please.
Oh, thank you very much, Honorable Malema. I'm coming down. Honorable Tenjuana, please. I won't allow you. No. Honorable Tenjuana. Sergeant in arms, you are taking long to report back. He's refusing.
We're in an army base here.
PPS must usher him out then. Instruct PPS must now remove Honorable Tenjuan. Honorable Tenjuana, please leave put. Because I saw what you did. I haven't heard from other people. I saw when you were shaping. Honorable members, just as a reminder, none of us are allowed to disrupt the speaker or any presiding officer when addressing the members of parliament. And if it continues, yes, people will leave the house. And if people obstruct, the PPS from ushering a member out, yes, the person who is responsible for it will have to accompany them and leave too. And that is the issue, that's all, honorable members. Thank you very much, honorable members. On what rule are you rising? On what rule? You're not addressing me because I don't want to be addressed, because you are using points of orders and making statements to disrupt the house. That's what is happening.
The rule says you must inform the member, you must allow them to protest. Which rule is that?
I read the rules out clearly as I was preparing to ask those members to leave the house. I did. You are not listening. Rule 73 talks to that. Go to a rules book. Rule 73 will explain that to you. Thank you, honorable members.
Speaker, point of order, Speaker. On you, on a point of order, Speaker, please.
No,
please,
honorable Malema. Point of order. I've ruled on the points of order now because the points of order are being used to disrupt us. Can you please stop now?
No, Honorable Malima,
Speaker,
remember, Mr. President, are you done with your answers?
On a point of, I just want to highlight something quickly, Speaker.
Please, honorable member. Mr. President, are you done with your first question because we were interrupted?
No, I'm not done, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Will you proceed then?
No, it's done.
Please proceed to answer your question.
Now, in dealing with the issue of migration, Madam Speaker, we, as I was saying, we interact on a continuous basis with various countries on our continent. And amongst the agreements reached is to have a consular migration forum between ourselves and a number of countries, but specifically between Nigeria and South Africa, where senior officials meet twice a year to look at visa issues, illegal migration, and other issues concerning either of our two countries. Similarly, an immigration cooperation agreement formed part of my discussions with President Nana Addo Akufo-Addo of Ghana in December last year. We had bilateral commissions at head of state with Mozambique in 2022 in March, as well as Botswana in April of 2022. In both cases, cooperations on deportments and agreements on migration cooperation were broadly concluded. In the last few months, there have been engagements at ministerial and officials level with our counterpart countries such as Lesotho, Botswana, and Zimbabwe on migration issues. Now, during our chairship of the SADC Organ on Politics, Defense and Security over the past year, we have prioritized the draft regional migration policy framework and action plan. The draft plan proposes principles as well as strategies on matters such as border governance, irregular migration, labor migration, and others. Like any sovereign nation, Madam Speaker, we have the right to implement policies and measures that guarantee the integrity of our borders, that protect the rights of South Africans and provide that all who reside in our borders have a legal right to do so. To this end, there are ongoing joint operations by South African Police Service, South African National Defence Force, the Department of Employment and Labour, and the Department of Transport to deal with illegal migration. Now, the first cohort of the Border Management Agency border officials has been deployed in areas where we know that there is often illegal entry into the country. We are dealing with the challenge of illegal migration. And we must remember that we are a democracy founded on the rule of law. Acts of lawlessness, intimidation, and humiliation directed at foreign nationals, whether they are documented or undocumented, should not be tolerated. If migration is managed properly and occurs within the legal framework, those from other countries who are foreign nationals can contribute positively to our society, as they could bring skills and resources to our economy and create jobs for South Africans. We have recently undertaken a comprehensive review of the policy framework for work visas to ensure that migration is managed in a way that benefits our country and supports our national interests. We need to work together to ensure that all the country's laws are enforced by the relevant authorities firmly and consistently. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, the Honorable the President. Before I allow you, Honorable Shabane, to raise your first supplementary question, may I just remind all of us once more that Rule 92 provides, amongst others, that a member may raise a point of order at any time during the proceedings of the House in terms of the procedure prescribed in Rule 66. Rule 66 provides, amongst others, that no member may interrupt another member while speaking except to call attention to a point of order or a question of privilege subject to Rule 92. And that is why I have decided that I'm no more allowing for points of order, because these points of order, some of them have been spurious points of order, and they are disrupting us from the work which we are seeking to do today. Thank you very much. Honorable Chavane. Thank you, Honorable Chavane.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, President. Mr. President, thank you for your comprehensive response, particularly your articulation on the AU Agenda 2063 progress, thus far linked to migration. The positive side of migration is that it can contribute to economic growth of the country, the tourism sector, to advance relations between member states. The undesirable side of migration relates to its illegality and possible link to criminality. In the recent past, we have witnessed a terrible incident in some parts of our country, in Krugersdorp, where our undocumented foreign nationals freely terrorize our people and engage in illegal mining. Mr. President, how do we strike a balance between the need to protect our national sovereignty by tightening the migration process on one hand, and on the other hand, advancing AU Agenda 2063 that talks to the integration of the continent? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chavane. The Honorable the President.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. The integration of our continent at various levels includes the ability of all countries on our continent to be able to trade together, others' economies, but also it includes the movement of people between countries. And this is an important developmental issue for our continent. But it has to be pursued in a way where the laws of all our countries on the continent are observed. This cannot be pursued at the expense of any country or in a manner that undermines the rule of law of any of the countries on our continent. And as I said, like any other country, South Africa has laws on migration that needs to be enforced and upheld. And when it comes to those who are here illegally, we've got to ensure that there is a process that we follow. And the process cannot be self-help by our people. It's got to be properly processed through the laws that we have in our country. In that way, we are able, together with our various sister countries on the continent, to act jointly as we develop each other's economies. And the issue of migration is a global problem and a major challenge across the world. And obviously, we have opted to deal with it within the confines of our laws. And that in itself should give us a good strength and understanding that as we strengthen, for instance, our border management authority, as we prevent the illegal entry into our country, we will be able to resolve the various problems that we are experiencing right now. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
I thank you, the Honorable the President. The second supplementary question will be asked by the Honorable, the Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Mr. President, the more government fails the people, the more it must find somebody else to blame for these failures. Your government is playing an incredibly dangerous game and stoking up sentiment, xenophobic sentiment, when the real problems that we face in the country are as a result of your government's failures. The inability to secure our borders with the 30 million rand washing line, a broken Home Affairs Department, a foreign policy that turns a blind eye to the oppressors in Zimbabwe and Eswatini, and your outdated economic policy, which has pushed 12 million people into the unemployment queue. Instead of fixing the problems, Mr. President, your government distracts and points fingers at you. Your party spokesperson, Kulimabe, has endorsed Operation Dudula. Your Home Affairs Minister has called foreign nationals rascals. Your Limpopo Health MEC bullied an injured and vulnerable Zimbabwean patient. Now, your silence on these matters, Mr. President, implies that you're endorsing the scapegoating of foreigners. And so I ask you today, Mr. President, do you agree with your xenophobic colleagues and comrades? And if not, what action have you taken against them?
The Honorable the President.
Thank you. We've always said that as South Africans, we are not xenophobic. We are a people who've always welcomed those from various countries from around the world and also on our own continent. In many ways, South Africa has been built with the participation, with the help of people from various nations. And they have helped to develop our country as well. So by any stretch of anyone's imagination, we are not a xenophobic nation. And even the leadership of the party that I lead are not xenophobic. Yes, there are challenges, as I said, that are global when it comes to issues of migration. And our people also respond to the various challenges that they also experience on a daily basis. For instance, when it comes to service delivery, people feel strongly that yes, the preference should be given to South Africans. And they are right in many ways to feel like that. But at the same time, we've got to ensure that whatever is done within the confines of the law. Our foreign policy is actually admired around the world because we've taken foreign policy decisions of a progressive type that are applauded in many other countries. Our participation on the African continent through the AU is highly respected. In SADC, South Africa is held in high regard, being the type of country we are and the economy size that we have. And in many, many ways, we contribute progressively to various policy positions that are taken by SADC and also our continent. So South Africa is not xenophobic. South Africa is quite welcoming. And we're saying that rule of law, legality has to be observed, as it is the case in any other country around the world, but also specifically on our own continent. And as we integrate our continent from a trade point of view, from an investment point of view, we also recognize that there will be movement of people. People from South Africa are moving to various other countries on the continent, and people from other countries are moving to South Africa. And we are saying it's all got to be done within a particular legal framework. And that is where we stand. And we believe that is the correct stance that any country can take. And that is where we are headed. Our Home Affairs Department is dealing with enormous challenges that emanate from the past as well. And I believe that they're doing a really good job, particularly now as they're setting up the Border Control Authority. And that in itself is going to help us to ensure that there is legality, and the migration, which we cannot avoid and run away from, is done within the legal framework that we have. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, the Honorable President. The third supplementary question will be asked by the Honorable N.F. Shivambu.
No, thank you very much, Speaker. It is common cause now, President of the ANC, that there are millions of dollars that were brought legally from Qatar and from the literal community of farm and hidden under mattress. And when it was taken from your farm, you send your security guards to go and look after that man in Namibia. Did your head of security and your political advisor comply with immigration laws when they were chasing the man which was taken from your farm? That is one. Two, you agree with what was done by the MEC of Health in Limpopo of mistreating a fellow African from Zimbabwe in terms of the conduct that happened in Bela Bela last week? That is the question.
The Honorable the President.
On the first issue and question, that matter, which relates to one of the questions that will come later, is a matter that is currently under investigation. And the various investigating arms or agencies of our country are in the process of dealing with that matter. And I will say a little bit more about that later when the question properly arises. On the second one, obviously, MEC of Health in Limpopo has raised an important issue: how service provision is affected by migration. That is an important issue that is top of mind in the minds of many South Africans. And indeed, it is part and parcel of having to deal with the whole issue of a framework around migration, not only on our continent, but elsewhere. As people move around the world, one of the issues they are often asked is, are you able to make provision for any service that may have to be offered to you in any shape or form? So that is part of that whole process of having to deal with migration. So the MEC, as I said, has raised an important issue which is currently under debate. And of course, she raised it in the presence of a patient, and I guess it's such an important issue, could have been raised in another way, but be that as it may, it has been raised, and it has evoked quite a debate, not only in our country, but also in Zimbabwe and also in the rest of the continent. And it is a matter that is going to enjoy quite a lot of attendance, even as we meet at head of state level, to discuss precisely what the movement of people should really entail, what should accompany that in the form of services, in the form of health issues, in the form of either criminality and rule of law. So all those matters, Honorable Speaker, are matters that are germane to the whole process of migration, which we as a nation also have to deal with within the context of Pan-Africanism, within the context of being a part of this continent, and within the context of our basic humanity. And also in the end, it has to be done within the context of our own constitution. We have a constitutional architecture that looks at the people who are present in South Africa and also how they should be tended for or how services should be provided to. So those are issues that need to be debated as we move forward. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Mr. President.
Speaker, the question was not answered.
Supplementary question
Speaker,
will be asked.
Was not answered.
Honorable Member, the question has been answered. You may be unhappy with the content, the substantive issue raised by the President. You may differ, but the question has been answered. Honorable Hero, this last supplementary question will be asked by Honorable. I'm not in a position, sorry, to prescribe how members of the executive should respond to questions. However, I am compelled to ensure that they respond to questions. The how part is a matter which you can raise in your portfolio committees. Honorable Hiron.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Mr. President, we understand that the issue of migrant labor in the Southern African region is complex. We know it has a long history, and in some cases like Lesotho, the wage remittances are a substantial part of that country's economy. These bilateral agreements that allow for migrant labor in many cases predate our democracy and were designed for the purpose of providing cheap labor. We also know that a lot has changed in South Africa since these agreements were signed. We have a very high unemployment rate ourselves. And one of the big problems with these agreements is that they allow for self-management, where labor brokers and employers are able to exploit migrant labor. So, Mr. President, isn't it time that our migrant labor policies balance the need to protect South Africans from exclusion from the labor market, especially the seasonal seasonal opportunities, while securing the labor rights of migrants and local employees through more direct management of employment practices? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Hiron. The next question, number 8, has been, I'm sorry, Honorable Mr. President, I'm really sorry. The Honorable President.
Hence I said you see, now you're making even simple mistakes.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable President.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I should say that, yes, indeed, I agree with Honorable Heron, because in the end, we need to have a balance. And the balance has to be, we cannot do many of these things at the expense of the interests of our own people. But at the same time, we've got to recognize that those who also come to our country, who come legally, who come in compliance of our labor policies, who come in compliance with our migration policies, also do have a right to come through here as they comply with our laws. Like South Africans, who can also and do go to various other parts of our continent, either following the businesses that are owned by South Africans to go and work there, or going to invest there, or going to trade. The laws of those countries that they go to are laws that would permit them to be in those countries legally. So that balance has to be there. And for us, obviously, the first prize is to look after our own people and to make sure that our own people's rights are not trampled or ignored. But at the same time, those who come to work here have the right to also within our labor laws framework to have their rights also respected. And I therefore would agree with Mr. Heron that yes, as everything keeps on evolving, and policies also evolve, we do need to look at whether the policies that we still have are still relevant for the modern times that we live in, and also look at the various industries and sectors and the extent to which they are able to have workers from other countries to come to work here on a basis. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
I thank you, Honorable the President. Question number 8 has been asked by the Honorable the Leader of the Opposition, the Honorable the President.
By men against women and children is a devastating social problem that can only be solved by every part of society working together. There's a recent World Bank report that characterizes gender-based violence against women and girls as a global pandemic that affects 1 in 3 women in their lifetime. And it goes on to give statistics that are really worrying, that are staggering, that show that 35% of women worldwide experience either physical or sexual intimate partner violence or non-partner sexual violence. While the latest crime statistics in our own country show a slight year-on-year decline in sexual offenses, we have not yet made significant progress in reducing the appalling levels of gender-based violence. That is why the government has been working closely with civil society, a number of women-led organizations, working closely with business, with labor and other formations, as a society-wide response that harnesses all the resources and energies at our disposal. Now, the National Strategic Plan on Gender-Based Violence and Femicide is the product of an inclusive social process, and its implementation is our collective responsibility. The NSP, as it is known, is a 10-year plan in its 3rd year of implementation. We are committed to the full and urgent implementation of the NSP. We've started making progress in putting the necessary social infrastructure in place to respond more effectively to gender-based violence. To this end, 23 rapid response teams have been established in the Eastern Cape, in KwaZulu-Natal, Northern Cape, in Mpumalanga, and Gauteng. These rapid response teams are multi-stakeholder structures at the district level and ward levels to coordinate responses to gender-based violence and femicide. The teams are comprised of senior frontline officials such as police station commanders, senior social workers, representatives from the Tutuzela care centers, and the Victim Empowerment Center officials. They work with community organizations and individuals to report suspected cases, clean up unsafe spaces, and act to reduce the potential for gender-based violence by, for example, ensuring that liquor outlets in a number of areas do not stay open after operating hours. Much more work needs to be done around that to keep a focus on these liquor outlet areas. We still need to do much more. We have strengthened the criminal justice system, Madam Speaker, by enacting the Sexual Offences and Related Matters Amendment Act and the Criminal and Related Matters Amendment Act. Among others, these acts strengthen the protection of children and other vulnerable persons and make vital changes to the parole system, giving complainants the right to make representations on certain parole issues. The new provisions tighten conditions with respect to the granting of police bail. Courts will now impose tougher sentences in cases of murder or attempted murder of children or in femicide or domestic homicide cases. Rape perpetrated in domestic relationships, rape of a child under 18 years, gang rape and serial rape will result in life imprisonment. Through the Tutuzela care centers, we are working quickly to ensure that gender-based violence survivors can access efficient and sensitive criminal justice services in an accessible manner, in a responsive and gender-inclusive manner. Now, these centers are also proving effective in improving conviction rates. The current conviction rate for matters emanating from these centers is 76%, which is up from 60% in 2010. The Sexual Offences Community Affairs Unit in the NPA achieved a conviction rate of 94% in femicide prosecutions and 74% in sexual offences cases in the last financial year. It is not enough to arrest, prosecute, and sentence perpetrators of gender-based violence. Our shared responsibility is to prevent such violence and build a society where women and children can feel free and being safe in our country. One of the initiatives in this respect is a National Prevention GBVF program called What About the Boys?, which is a partnership of the Department of Basic Education, the chemical industry, CETAs, and the private sector. About 10,000 boys in grades 8 to 12 are now part of the program. They are encouraged to reimagine traditional ideas of masculinity, learn how to manage their emotions, and create healthy minds and bodies. We are also working with partners to promote the economic empowerment of women and thereby reduce their vulnerability to abuse. Our interventions, Madam Speaker, include gender-responsive budgeting, which I'd like us to see us focusing more and more attention on, so that our budgets respond in a gender-sensitive manner or responsive manner. We're also looking at preferential procurement for women-owned enterprises. We've already put a percentage that needs to be taken into account and observed. And we're promoting the participation of women in business supply chains and ensuring that women are well represented in the labor market. We will be convening the second presidential summit on gender-based violence and femicide later this year to reflect on what has worked and not worked, and what further actions need to be taken to accelerate real meaningful change in the lives of all the women in our country. We know that we will not win this battle overnight. There's so much that needs to be done. And sometimes we make progress, sometimes we regress. But building a safe and violence-free country, particularly for women and children, means healing our nation. And it means restoring healthy respect for our common humanity and respect for women, and rooting the values of our Constitution in ourselves, in our homes, and in our communities. This is something that we should all feel strongly and passionate about in our country. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
I thank you, the Honorable the President. The first supplementary question will be asked by the Honorable the Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. A month ago, your Police Minister, Bekele, said in an interview that a 19-year-old rape victim was, quote, lucky to be raped only once. It's clear from this comment that Minister Bekele has himself given up and lost faith in his own ability to keep South Africans safe from rape, murder, and other violent crimes. And it shows, Mr. President, in the statistics to which you referred to. On your police minister's watch, 67 citizens are murdered every single day. 153 people are raped every single day. 364 violent robberies occur every single day. South Africans are under daily attack from violent criminals in their homes, in their workplaces, and on their streets. And your police minister, by his own admission, has given up trying to protect them. Mr. President, the question to you today, if he has given up on his own ability and has no faith in his ability to keep our citizens safe, why do you have faith in him? Why have you not fired him yet?
The Honorable the President.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I would like, with great respect, to dispute and disagree with Honorable Steenhuisen that Minister of Police has given up on the fight against crime, and particularly on issues that have to do with gender-based violence. He is often at the forefront of ensuring that we do fight crime. And you refer to the statement that he made after the Kagiso incident. And I'd like to suggest that that was clearly not his intention, and that may have been lost in translation. But as far as his commitment, he was there. He was there soon after that incident happened. And he was there amongst other leaders, not only to care for the victims, but also to ensure that there's an investigation that has led to the arrests that have ensued. Working together with the police commissioner, the national commissioner, with various other police officials. And let me say that he is often there whenever all these calamitous criminal activities happen. So I think we need to give him a little bit of latitude and also recognition. The issue of criminality in our country is recognized by everyone. It is a major problem, and we are addressing it. Just last week, we held a meeting of the National Security Council, and we urged all our law enforcement or security agencies to focus on criminality, and particularly also to focus on various areas or nodes of great criminality like illegal mining and a whole range of others, particularly gender-based violence. And I do think that we are making progress, and we will make even greater progress with the greater determination that the police are going to be demonstrating going forward, and the focus that the leadership of the police are also going to be demonstrating. That we have a problem is what I recognize, and all of us recognize, but that we will address this issue and deal with it is something that we are focusing on and will make sure that it happens, because it is important that South Africans feel safe. And it is important that the police focus on ensuring that the levels of criminality in our country are brought down significantly, if not eliminated. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable the President. The second supplementary question will be asked by the Honorable Zet Ngomo.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Mr. President, gender-based violence and femicide takes place within a community and families. Those same families are shaped by culture, religious orientation, and their economic struggles to survive. Those factors have an impact on gender-based violence and femicide. Mr. President, my question is, how do we strengthen the family unit as communities in order to deal with the root problem in society, when within our families reside embedded patriarchal practices and toxic cultural practices, so that we strengthen the struggle against gender-based violence and femicide? I thank you.
The Honorable, thank you, Honorable. The Honorable the President.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Indeed, this is a societal problem. And it is for this reason that we say all of us need to address this issue in a way that we are all implicated. We therefore need to embark on a number of interventions, actions that will lead to the solution. And I'm rather pleased that through the interaction that we have with community-based organizations is beginning to get us to address the important issues. For instance, the issues of patriarchy, the issues of paying attention to the boys, as I said, and making sure that we inculcate a sense, a consciousness of respect for women and for the correct values in our society in young people as they grow up. And also address the issue of this toxic masculinity that is there, but also focusing on the family as a unit that needs to be nurtured, and where at a societal level we are able to do what we've always done over generations, that the society, the community takes an interest in what happens within their confines. Where there are abuses, the community should find ways of intervening. And it is through this, when we engender this spirit, that we will be able to have preventative measures that are much more effective. And I'm pleased that a number of educational institutions, be they universities and so on, have also taken this up. So this being a broad societal issue, we need to work together. And I found that when stakeholders work together to address common society problems, we're able to make progress. This is even more so when we have to deal with the issue of gender-based violence and addressing issues of patriarchy, an issue of this toxic masculinity, and now the focus being on young boys, which is a movement or a process that I'd like to see spread more and more in our country. We are possibly still at the beginning stages, but if all of us can put our hands or our shoulders to the wheel, I'm sure that we will be able to make progress. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
I thank you, the Honorable President. The third supplementary question will be asked by the Honorable Zet Majosi. Honorable Zet Majosi. Are you on the virtual platform?
Honorable Speaker, she is meant to be on the virtual platform. Perhaps she's having some connectivity problems. May I ask the Honorable President the question on her behalf?
Yes.
Thank you. Honorable President, for South Africa's criminal justice system to be effective under Pillar 3 of the National Strategic Plan on Gender-Based Violence and Femicide, the DNA backlog of 58,000 cases needs to be cleared. Such operational incapacities in dealing with cases of GBV is dangerous, as victims are left exposed and accessible to the perpetrator. Mr. President, how would your government capacitate the provincial criminal justice system to deal with DNA backlogs that will aid in mitigating instances of perpetrators being in close proximity to their victims? And how far along is the process of clearing the DNA backlog of 58,000 cases by September?
The Honorable President.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Just to be more specific on this, the Minister of Police and I have discussed this issue of the DNA backlog, and he has assured me that a number of steps are being taken. Initially, it was a case of this whole procurement process that had gotten stuck, and I'd like to believe that now the process the whole matter is being addressed and the process should get underway. It is concerning that we built up a backlog of 58,000 DNA samples that need to be cleared, and it is an area of focus that I've also communicated to the minister that needs to be cleared up. At the provincial level, yes, that is where we need to capacitate our provinces to be able to deal with this type of matter. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
And the last supplementary question will be asked by the Honorable P.J. Groenewald.
Geachte Speaker, through you. Honorable President, it is correct that you say that there is improvement. I have just received, for instance, a report, a household report.
Order.
A household report that says there is an improvement where women, for instance, feel that they are more safe when they move around. But the fact of the matter is, if we look at the murder rate of women and children for the first quarter of this financial year, then we see there's an increase when it comes to women of 53%, in children. But when it comes to assault with gross bodily harm, then we see in the case of women, it increased with 55%. And when we talk about children, 17 years and younger, we see an increase of 58%. Now, Honorable President, we had a meeting with political leaders and yourself in 2018, and I then said to you, the problem is the criminal justice system. I heard what you said on the question of the IFP, but my question is more specific. What steps have you as President took to ensure that the criminal justice system is improved? And then I refer not only to the police, but to the judicial part, and for instance, correctional services. I think there are too many rapists that gets parole and then they just continue with their criminality.
Thank you, Honorable Member. You've exceeded your time. The Honorable, the President.
Speaker, on a point of order, I wanted to...
I did not give you the floor.
But
I did not give you the floor.
Please give me.
I did not give you the floor.
Give me the floor.
I am not giving you the floor until I recognize you.
Recognize me.
Honorable Member, what's happening to you?
Please recognize me. Ow.
I am not going to recognize you because I had closed all points of orders.
Must take a point of
Honorable the President.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
You may
a point of order.
I'm glad that Honorable Kunewald has recognized that there's been an improvement, but I agree with him that much more needs to be done and can be done.
Order, Speaker.
And the
What is the point of
focus
order, honorable
should be
member?
on key priority
President,
areas,
So the point of
such as, for instance,
President, there is a point of order, President. When there's a point of order, you must keep quiet and allow other people, Mr. President. There is a point of
not the speaker.
Honorable Malema.
Unlike you,
Honorable Malema, please. Please. Honorable Shibambo.
I wanted to clarify if it's permissible for us to make follow-up questions from the main, because we've let it be so. So all the follow-up questions that we want to make, want to come and stand.
No, honorable.
Because there's a point of order, because we must be consistent with the rule.
No.
If it's allowed, we want to make follow-up questions from there as well. So that
Honorable member Shibambo,
your president is hiding somewhere. We want to ask questions from there because it's not here in any way.
Honorable Shibambo. Honorable Papo, Honorable Shibambo, remember, order, Honorable Shibambo, remember, whenever we're preparing for questions, you have a right to submit follow-up questions, an indication that you would want to make a follow-up question. And I do have a list of parties which made that request. Honorable members, honestly, Honorable Shibambo, what is the problem here? I mean, you may speak from the podium and we did not come, Honorable Mkalipi. Order, Honorable member. Honorable member. Okay, I will intervene.
Speaker, yes. I'm being harassed here. I'm being harassed by your member here. He's asking what is my children saying when I'm speaking here. What does my children fit in? Honor Women's Month. Honor Women's Month. I'm being harassed.
Honorable members.
Can you rule on that, Speaker?
Who's that?
Speaker,
who's questioning?
I'm harassed by this doctor.
Okay, take your seat.
What does my kids fit in?
Honorable,
bring my kids here.
Okay, Honorable Mkalipi. Honorable Mkalipi, take your floor. Who raised that question? Who is that, honorable members? Our Honorable Zomo.
I'm not here.
Really? Honorable Zomo. Okay. Honorable Zomo. Hi, man, come help you. Hi, you are not presiding now.
That question is very relevant, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Zomo.
That question is very relevant.
Pakame Puti, take the floor. What did you say? What did you say, Honorable Zomo? Let me understand what you said.
Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Mutisa and Honorable Mente. Honorable Zomo, what did you say? Order.
Huh?
Honorable Zomo.
Honorable Speaker.
What did you say? What did you say? Can you just clarify me? What did you say?
You can check the Hansard. I didn't say anything.
Okay, then I will come back. Honorable member, I will come back with a ruling from answered. Honorable Zulu.
Thank you again, Honorable Speaker. Again, on the same rule that we raised earlier on. It is just a plea, Honorable Speaker, because members of this House on both sides do have to appreciate what we've been raising all the time. What is actually very disturbing right now is what members what members of the EFF on the front and members this side actually going to a point of almost talking physical threats against each other. Again, no, honorable member, I'm
allow her. She is on the floor. She is on the floor, and I granted her that opportunity. Yes.
I am really pleading, Honorable Speaker. First of all, it's Women's Month.
Yes.
So the last thing we need is between us women, in particular, making the kind of threats that are being made in the House. I thought we've long gone past that stage. As I indicated earlier on, the people of South Africa will learn from us. And when we learn, we must learn and show that we have learned. So this that has been going on here, Honorable Speaker, it's a pity you did not hear. But members who are here, they heard the physical threats. And it's a plea, Honorable Speaker, that all members must withdraw from any form of physical threats. The last thing we need is that, Honorable, yes, I have changed, and I'll show you that I have changed. I struggle to make sure that we make the change. I've made the change.
Okay. Yes. Just thank you very much, Honorable Zulu. Honorable members. Order, honorable members. Honorable members, order, please. There is a matter which has been raised here. Not only has it just been raised, I heard it all, but there was somebody I had recognized on the floor. I was asking Dr. Domo, honorable member, to clarify what he had said, which had annoyed Honorable Mkhalip. Now, Honorable Domo has referred me to the Hansard, and I will check the Hansard and come back and rule on the matter. However, Honorable Ima, hold on, hold your horses, please. Now, at that point, there was an exchange, honorable members, between Honorable Modise and Honorable Mente. Honorable members, both of you, will you please stand? Honorable Mente and Honorable Modise? Yes, Sisi. Yes. Honorable. Now. No, it was honorable members. Honorable members, order, honorable members, order. Honorable members, you were right to take the floor to stand because I did call out your name to stand. But Honorable Mente is correcting that and is pointing me to the right person. Will the person who was having an exchange with Honorable Mente take the floor, honorable members? Sit down, Honorable Modise, and thank you very much. Honorable, allow me. Honorable members, order, honorable members, you are honorable members. And honorable members are leaders of our society as parliamentarians. And you have a responsibility to maintain the decorum of the House. And I think what Honorable Zulu said about the fact that this happened at a time when it is Women's Month says it all. And I just think that, honorable members, it was incorrect of you, Honorable Mente and Honorable Mugweba. We are supposed to be exemplary to our people who are watching us. We are supposed to be exemplary to our children, to our families, to our members who are watching. And I do want to, no, I don't need you to help me to deal with this. Honorable Mente, Honorable Mugweba, with all due respect, I'm appealing to both of you to withdraw what you said to one another for the benefit of this House.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I withdraw.
Thank you very much. Honorable Mente.
Thank you very much, Speaker. I will not withdraw protecting my members because she, after Dr. Dong.
No, Honorable Mente. Honorable Mente.
There is context to everything.
Honorable Mente. Honorable Mente.
You are not going to sit here and intimidate my members.
Honorable Mente.
It will never happen.
Honorable Mente. Honorable Mente. Honorable Mente. I am requesting you, it doesn't matter what happened now, but the exchange which you had in the, no, Honorable Member.
Speaker, remember, yami technician, remember, after Dr. Domo, and Kale, why technician,
okay, thank you very much.
Number two, she threatens my member. I must sit here, be quiet when my
no, Honorable Member. Honorable Member. Honorable Mente.
It's not going to happen that my members are threatened when I'm here. They were ejected out of the house with violence.
Honorable
members are threatening violence on my members. It will never happen.
Honorable Mente.
Will never happen.
The matter.
You must protect us from being violated by your women. The worst part is she is defending a man against a woman.
Okay. Honorable
City and fold arms.
Honorable Mente. Honorable Mente.
I am not going to do it, Speaker.
Honorable Mente.
I am not going to withdraw protecting my members.
No, Honorable Mente. I have called your name thrice already. And all I am requesting is, in spite of the context within which this happened, the issue I am raising, Honorable Mente and Honorable Members, is what transpired here in the chamber.
You did not hear us.
Honorable,
you are being told by
no, Honorable Mente, please withdraw.
What?
Honorable Mente, withdraw.
I withdraw.
Honorable Mente, withdraw. Then, Honorable Mente, please leave the house. If you can't take the order, leave the house. It is my ruling, Honorable Member. It is my ruling, Honorable Member. Leave the house. No, Honorable Shivambo. Honorable Shivambo, the issue is not about the context. It is about what transpired in the house here. No, Honorable Shivambo, I have made a ruling. I've said these two members must withdraw.
No, these two members must leave the house.
That's another matter which we will deal with. We will deal with that matter. Once I've read the Hansard, I've ruled that Honorable Mente should leave the house. Honorable Mente, house. If you can't withdraw,
done by the national chair.
Honorable Mente, will you please leave the house? Sergeant in Arms, will you please usher Honorable Mente out? I've not called bouncers. I've requested the Sergeant in Arms to usher Honorable Mente out.
On a point of order, speak.
Speaker. Speaker Ngabula.
I've said the
Speaker, are you calling men against the woman?
Request the women PPS members to usher Honorable Mente out. Thank you.
Speaker,
we
can I
proceed,
speak?
Honorable members.
Speaker, can I speak?
Not allowing any point of order now.
No, but Speaker, this thing started about me.
No, Honorable Mkhalipi. Honorable Mente, please leave the house. But Honorable Shivambo, please give the way so that Honorable Mente can be ushered out. Please give the way. Thank you very much, honorable members.
Speaker,
honorable members, order, order, order. Remember, order, honorable members. Remember that this all happened in the context of an exchange between yourself, Dr. Zomo, and Honorable Mkhalipi. And for that, I have ruled. I will go and consult with Hansa.
I want to get in there.
Back
I want to
make a
address
ruling.
that point exactly.
I am not going to allow you to speak
No,
now.
but there's no Hansard. I want to address that point.
I am not going
no
to allow.
Hansard. He didn't speak on Hansard.
There's Hansard.
No, he didn't speak here.
I will find it.
How?
Find it.
How?
Honorable Speaker.
Mkhalipi.
Speaker,
Honorable
uchemile. Worse than Baleka, Speaker, ngendlela ocheme ngayo.
Now, honorable members.
Honorable Speaker.
Honorable members, we now proceed. We were at a point where the president must answer to the question raised, the supplementary question, which was the last, raised by Honorable P.J. Funebald.
No, Speaker, you were at a point where you were passing a ruling on the point of order of whether when we make follow-up questions, should we take that for them? Because let's do so.
Honorable Shivam,
we had not given a ruling on that.
I did actually. I said
the ruling.
I said there is nothing wrong. However, we encourage people to answer or to pose questions from where they are, but I was not going to interrupt him at that point where he was at the podium. That's what I said. But you wouldn't have said it because there was this exchange which was going on in the chamber, honorable member. Now, for the record, that's what I said. If I may read this, honorable members, Rule 78, which states that 7H2, every sitting in the chamber of the National Assembly, a member may only speak from the podium during debate and whenever the presiding officer so directs, and at all other times address the chair from a microphone on the floor of the chamber. A member may deliver his or her address in such other manner as the member is physically able to do and agreed to by the presiding officers. In this instance, I did not prevent the honorable member from taking the podium. And therefore, honorable member, I really request that we proceed. Honorable members, the President, will you please respond to the question raised by Honorable Funebald?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Funebald wanted to know what I have done in relation to all the issues that he raised to improve the criminal justice system. A lot has been done, Honorable Speaker, in relation to just ensuring that the prosecutorial process in our country is streamlined in relation to ensuring that they focus on crimes that have to do with gender-based violence and femicide. And I think we're seeing a lot of progress in that regard. There are more prosecutions, but not only that, but there's greater success in convictions. When it comes to the judiciary, we've set up special courts as well. Special courts where children and women feel much more able to bear testimony to what would have happened to them. I visited one of those courts in Gauteng and saw how well structured it is and how the judiciary is also able to ensure that those types of trials do take place in an environment that enhances the process of justice to go on in a way where victims are able to testify and relate their experiences in a much more conducive environment. When it comes to corrections, yes, there have been situations where parole has been given to people who have committed crimes of rape, and they go out and still go ahead and commit those. And I'd like to believe that the parole system is now being tightened. And when you look at the work that the police are now doing, police stations have now become much more serious in as far as ensuring that when they deal with issues that have to deal with gender-based violence, rape, and crimes against children, they've set up various structures, either highly well specialized or trained officers, and there are also social workers who deal with that. Now, much more progress needs to be done still in the criminal justice system, but a combination of all these interventions that we have made, including at the legislative level, where even the National Assembly has passed laws, I think we can say that we are making progress. Clearly not enough progress in the eyes of many people, also in the eyes of the women of our country. Much more needs to be done. But we have embarked on a journey that is enabling us to pay more attention, to give more focus to crimes against women and children on the gender-based violence type of process. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
I thank you, the President. Our next question, question number 9, has been asked by the Honorable HKR Mesho. The Honorable, the President.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. The report of the expert panel, which I set up into the July 2021 civil unrest, concluded, among others, things that the South African National Defence Force did not undertake any scenario planning or a possible sudden deployment, nor put in place or put in measures necessary to deploy that or should they be called upon to do so. That's what the expert panel said. We should therefore welcome the SANDF's internal warning instruction of 6 August 2022 as an indication of the readiness of the security services to respond to potential unrest should it be necessary. In this instance, it was not necessary for the President to authorize the deployment of the SANDF to support the South African Police Service in managing the security situation in the country. The relevant security and law enforcement entities continue to improve their own ability to respond to criminality, as well as instability under the overall direction of the National Security Council. As indicated in the State of the Nation address, government has allocated funding for the recruitment of 12,000 new police trainees, and the first cohort is currently undergoing basic training. The South African Police Service public order policing units will receive an additional 4,000 members this financial year. The first tranche of the 2,000 new public order policing members will complete their training next month, and the next tranche of 2,000 will begin training in December. Drawing on the lessons of last year's July unrest, we are working to improve cooperation between law enforcement agencies and the private security industry in the fight against crime. An example is the collaboration between Transnet Freight Rail and South African Police Service to combat infrastructure theft and the sabotage of the rail line. This includes securing the North Rail Corridor between the Highveld Coalfields and Richards Bay, which has led to a significant reduction in crime and derailments. Earlier this month, Justice and Correctional Services Minister Ronald Lamula gave approval for Transnet security officers to be granted peace officer status. This means that they will be allowed to make arrests and assist the National Prosecuting Authority with prosecutions. They will also have the authority to search premises, complete dockets to ensure suspects are charged correctly, and assist the basic investigations. Another example of cooperation is between mine security, private security, and the South African Police Service to fight precious metal theft and illegal mining. As a result of these joint efforts, we are seeing progress in areas such as Mpumalanga and Limpopo, and also Northwest, that have been flashpoints of instability as stolen metals were moved to illicit markets abroad. Government is taking the challenge of illegal mining extremely seriously. Last week, the National Security Council held a meeting to focus on the work being done to tackle illegal mining and related crimes. The South African Police Service has established task teams to tackle illegal mining, alongside other task teams dealing with construction site extortion, copper and cable theft, and theft and vandalization of economic infrastructure. The National Security Council agreed on further action to tackle illegal mining, and that the SANDF could be called upon to support the South African Police Service should it be required. Now, together, all these efforts should steadily reduce the prevalence of criminality and combat attempts to undermine police order. However, it is important that all our security forces remain alert and ready to act if needed. But we also urge our communities through the various community structures that are in place, such as community policing for us, to be able to assist the police in the work of dealing with criminality in our country. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, the President. The first supplementary question will be asked by the Honorable KRJ Mishwe.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and thank you, Honorable President. The ACDP is extremely concerned about the current state of criminality in our country. Violent service delivery protests, incidents of vigilantism, abductions, kidnapping of women and children in particular are also increasing, and hijacking of residential properties have become commonplace, which is a great concern. Mr. President, when members of Operation Dudula set up roadblocks and checkpoints to stop people with darker skin who are suspected of being foreign nationals preventing them from accessing hospitals and clinics, while the police are watching in a posture of endorsement, or when they search and demand official documents from business owners they suspect to be foreign nationals in the presence of the police, that we believe sends a negative message to the international community that South Africa is becoming a failed state where lawlessness is allowed to entrench itself and members of the public are allowed to take matters in their own hands. So what I want to know, Mr. President, while I appreciate what you said, and that there is collaboration and cooperation between different agencies of security, the issue of soldiers being involved practically to crush, to stop, and to arrest drug lords. The fight against drugs seems to be lost because there is an increasing number of children that are addicted. So I want to know, Mr. President, what should happen to show government that the matter is serious and desperate? All the plans that the president is talking about consist of things that should have been done long ago, but it's only now that government is talking about collaboration. So I want to know what has to happen to send the message of urgency or SOS to government and to the president that something needs to be done to finally stop violence in the country and make our streets safer for particularly women and children. Thank you.
I thank you, Dr. Mishra. The Honorable, the President.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I would like to say to Honorable Mishra, Reverend Mishra, that indeed the message has been, well, the alarm and the call has been raised quite prominently. Many of the issues that Reverend Mishra is alluding to, the issues of kidnapping, the issues of lawlessness, are matters that have registered and action is being taken. There has been failure, as has been admitted, and with the new invigoration that we have infused in the police, the National Commission of Police is highly alert of all these matters, together with the minister, and there's now much more of an action-oriented approach, which is going to deal with these matters. Reverend Mishra raises, Honorable Mishra raises the issue of bringing in the soldiers to arrest and crush all these activities. I'd like to say that the army can only be called in to support and assist the police. Process of arrest, dealing with criminality, is a function of the South African police, where we, in certain circumstances, will bring in the army. It is when they have to come in to give support, to give assistance to the police. And the police will be the ones who will lead that process. You need to remember that our soldiers are trained with a particular focus in mind. And as they come in, they have to be giving and lending support and assistance under, yes, the leadership and direction of the police. The president, in deploying the army, also has to notify Parliament, as we all know. So deploying the police, rather the army, is quite a serious matter. But the National Security Council in its recent meeting realized that there will be situations where indeed we might need to bring in the army. And when that happens, it is the president but the president can only finally do so informing Parliament, informing the National Assembly, as well as the Council of Provinces. I think we should look at that in that context. But it's having said that, there is much more determination on the part of the police to deal with all these matters. I did say earlier that the police has set up a number of units that will be focusing on all these areas. For instance, when it comes to illegal mining, the numbers of the police who have to focus on this have been increased, and we are already beginning to see the positive effects of all this. So quite serious action is being taken in this regard. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
I thank you, the Honorable the President. The second supplementary question will be asked by the Honorable M. Modise.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable President, the expert panel on the July 2021 unrest, amongst other things, recommended that the capacity of the security services needs to be strengthened to respond effectively to all situations. Whilst appreciating that the Defence Force may be deployed to support the SAPS when the need arises, what measures will the President take to ensure that the capacitation of law enforcement agencies is strengthened to deal with acts of criminality in our country, as observed by the expert panels? Thank you.
The Honorable the President. Thank you, Honorable Modise.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. A number of actions obviously need to be taken in this regard. The first one obviously is to get the police and indeed the security forces to focus more on the problem areas. And what is good is that the National Security Council meets quite regularly and focuses on areas of risk and areas of concern. Of course, the other one is to capacitate our security forces from a capability point of view, as well as ensuring that we focus on the budgetary side of things. With the financial fiscal constraints that we have faced, we've seen, yes, a cutback on their budgets, particularly Defence Force as well as the police. And these are matters that are now being looked at so that we strengthen the hand of the police and we also strengthen our Defence Force. And if we do all that and appoint the right people for the right positions, we do believe that we will be able to make progress. And this is a process that we've now embarked upon. And the training element, the capacitation element, is also another area that we're looking at. And we're looking at all these matters holistically to ensure that we address the various areas of weakness all around, particularly when it comes to our police. So progress is being made. I'm rather pleased with the focus that the National Commissioner is having together with various other officers that he works with on the issue of criminality. And of course, we need to ensure that they continue getting the support of the people of our country, because they can only really truly be successful if they are supported and if, for instance, at community level, through our community policing forums, we're able to lend them that support. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, the Honorable the President. The third supplementary question will be asked by the Honorable A.M. Sheikh Imam.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Mr. President, it's not the Defence Force or the South African Police Services that can do what we need in South Africa to create a better quality of life and protect our people. When a country is not able to provide food to its citizens, it's in a state of collapse. If it cannot provide water for survival, it's in a state of collapse. If it cannot provide homes, it's in a state of collapse. Your predecessors, President Mbeki says that we have no plan for the future. And our former president, Kgalema Motlanthe, says South Africa is in a crisis. Our state-owned entities have collapsed. Our infrastructure is collapsing. The quality of education, where 60% dropout in Tibet colleges, 91,000 children, Mr. President, gave birth to children last year, and we think it is okay. Can you tell us what plan do you have in terms of a holistic approach to solve the problems of this country, very importantly? And I want to highlight, Mr. President, 200,000 jobs are at risk at the moment in the confectionery industry because of the policies we have, which calls for your urgent intervention to save these jobs because of our policies. Could you please tell us whether you'll be willing to consider that as well? Thank you, Mr. President.
I thank you, Honorable Imam Sheikh. The Honorable, the President.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. We have a number of interventions that we are embarking on. As regards having a plan, we have a plan. We conceived a plan for recovery and reconstruction, which we put to various stakeholders, and it was adopted and embraced. And it is this that is guiding us at this point in time. And embedded in that plan is also the issue that Honorable Imam raises, the economy and giving focus to our economic recovery, which, as he correctly says, has an impact on the issue of security, issue of criminality, because it is when people have food, when people have jobs, and when people have water, that their livelihood improves. And our recovery plan is aimed at addressing that. And we are making measured progress. We are not where we want to be. COVID-19 resulted in us losing 2 million jobs. And losing 2 million jobs in an economy of our size is quite a devastating act, where many people have lost their livelihoods and go to bed hungry. And it was for that reason that government had to intervene to introduce a relief measure for many of our people who were not able to cope with the ravages of COVID-19. So many initiatives are underway. And we're also interacting this with various stakeholders, be it labor, community, and the business community. And what we had initially thought we would make progress on in forging a compact is taking time, but the discussions are ongoing. And we anticipate that as we continue addressing all these challenges, we are going to make progress. Yes, are we having a crisis situation? We are having huge challenges in our country. And they've been given rise to what we know: unemployment, inequality, and poverty, which did not start yesterday, which has beset our country over a number of years and was exacerbated by the recent calamities that our country has just recently, just 18 months, 2 years ago, gone through. And in the course of that, government has taken a number of other actions or interventions. Government at its own instance, and for the first time in the history of our country, was able to come up with an intervention that created 1 million job opportunities, especially for young people who are negatively affected by the incidence of unemployment. We've been able to also extend that to people who work in the rural areas, small, medium farmers. So a number of activities have been taken, and where we've also assisted the early childhood development, say, if you like, practitioners, in quite a positive way, where young people have been cared for. Are we concerned about the 91,000 young people who have given birth to kids? Yes, we are concerned. And COVID-19 also did not help us much in this regard, as it has also happened in many other countries. So we are grappling with all these challenges and all these problems. Do we have interventions that are addressing all these challenges? Yes. Do the interventions match up with the enormity of the challenges? Maybe not so much because of our fiscal challenges as well. But what I can assure Honorable Imam is that government is not resting on its laurels. And we are also continuing to deal with issues of corruption, another major pandemic, if you like, that our country has had to face during the course of this period. And we are beginning to see great progress that is ensuing in that regard. So progress is being made. We need to make much more progress, but we are moving forward. And at times we seem to be moving backwards, but forward movement is what is our great focus. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
I thank you, the Honorable President. The last supplementary question will be asked by the Honorable General B.H. Holomisa. General.
Honorable Kamal, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Yes, we can hear you, General. You may proceed.
Mr. President, okay, Honorable President, firstly, we wish Umamekaya a speedy recovery. Angazenzela prescription athume wena uyoyithenga ngokwakho ungathumeli bodyguards. Mr. President, would you consider establishing special disciplined units comprised of SANDF and MPS, which are to be trained under one roof to actually implement what you are discussing at Security State level, Council level, to make the budget available to properly train and equip the said units and let them be on 7 standby in all 9 provinces. That would improve the lack of state of readiness we've witnessed on a number of occasions, where you issue an instruction, for instance, to a defense force, and it takes them time for them to deploy. But if they are trained and they've got equipment, and those operation orders would be monitored at national level, perhaps by Security Council or in a joint operation center. That would also, Mr. President,
you have exceeded your time, General. You have exceeded your time.
To enhance their capacity, they should work with police crime and military intelligence units. Thank you, Mr.
Very much. Thank you, General, Honorable General. The Honorable the President.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable General Holomisa. Uthetha njengo-General wenyani. And you're making a number of what I would call positive proposals on improving the state of readiness of our security forces or units. And it's something that really we need to think about. What you should have noted, which is what sparked Honorable Misha to raise the question, is the notice that was issued by the Defense Force, which was aimed at getting the army to be action ready if they are called upon to be ready. That I saw in very positive light, because it basically meant that the chief of the Defense Force and his various other officers are seeking to address the weakness that the expert panel into the 2021 unrest had spoken about. So there is a move to improve our state of readiness. And similarly, on the SAPS side, there is that similar focus as well. So you are suggesting, Honorable General, that we should have units that would be combined and look at what needs to be done to improve the state of readiness in all our provinces. It's something that is currently underway in different iterations, maybe separately, but you're suggesting do it as a combined force. That's something that can be looked at, although it will need to be looked at within the protocols of these various units, these various institutions, the Defense Force and the police. Because when they are called upon to help each other, they intersect at a particular area of focus where the Defense Force is called upon to support and to assist the police. But I'd like to thank you for the suggestion put forward. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable the President. That comes us to bring us to the end of that question. And question number 10 has been asked by the Honorable N.Q. Mbana.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. It will take an effort by all of us in the country to overcome the many social ills that confront our people, in recognizing the critical role that civil society plays in tackling poverty, in tackling inequality and related social problems. I announced in the State of the Nation address in February this year that a social sector summit will be convened in 2022. We recognize that government needs to create an enabling and a conducive environment for civil society organizations to be effective in undertaking their work. The Presidential Social Sector Summit was held on the 4th and the 5th of August this year, and it grappled with the challenge of issues such as poverty, unemployment, inequality, recognizing that they lead to increased levels of desperation amongst our people, social problems, breakdown of families, and violence in our communities. To promote positive social values, we need to tackle poverty. The provision of the social wage is an effective intervention to support and protect households living below the poverty line. As of November 2020, over 18.2 million citizens were accessing social grants in our country, with the child-specific grants reaching over 13.2 million children every month, representing over 72% of the total grants distributed. The old age pension is an effective instrument to support elderly persons, together with other social services such as education, health, and food distribution programs. For unemployed South Africans, the 350 SRD grant has provided valuable support since the start of COVID-19 pandemic. Many people continue to criticize our intervention in this regard, But what I should say is that this 350, which is now assisting almost 11 million people in our country, is something that is seen in positive light by those people whose livelihoods were negatively affected also by COVID-19. And in some social circles, social sort of civil society organizations, they say it has helped to reduce the poverty, which would have gone much higher had we not intervened. Of course, poverty is at unacceptable levels, but amount, much as it is not as high as people would want it to be, has been a great boon to many of our people, given our fiscal constraints and our ability to pay or to assist our people. The expanded public works program is one of the government's key programs to provide temporary work for people who are unemployed. The program offers an essential avenue for income transfers to poor households in the short to medium term. In the last financial year, as I was saying earlier, over 1 million opportunities were created. The presidential employment stimulus seeking to mitigate the devastating economic challenges brought about by COVID-19 has provided work and livelihood opportunities for nearly 1 million people since it was started less than 2 years ago. The Presidential Social Sector Summit produced a framework document highlighting 2 critical strategies to address social ills in South Africa. Firstly, implementing development interventions with civil society, and secondly, strengthening civil society as a delivery agent for development interventions. The Social Sector Summit framework document is aligned with the vision of the National Development Plan to eradicate extreme poverty in our country by 2030 and further reduce inequality and unemployment. This means that programs to address poverty and inequality must be accelerated, must be speeded up, recognizing that the state and the private sector often rely on civil society organizations to deliver essential services to communities, especially those in hard-to-reach areas. And we've seen how civil society organizations have continued to play a critical role in a number of areas, in health and in just social welfare. Now, the Presidential Social Sector Summit laid the basis for more responsive and effective collaboration to deliver on the promise of a better life for all South Africans by ensuring that commitments are clear and that they strengthen existing initiatives to promote shared values within families and communities. Civil society is a critical stakeholder in our country as we seek to deepen democracy and improve the quality of lives. So civil society can help us address the social ills. The call for partnership with civil society sector is premised on the acknowledgement that government alone cannot address the developmental challenges our country is facing. And central to the partnership between government and civil society is the joint commitment to pursue matters of national interest, such as fostering shared positive family values, promoting social cohesion within communities, nation building, and ensuring communities' responsibilities is there in protecting citizens. We agree that our developmental interventions, therefore, must be structured in a way that promotes strong family values and strengthens diverse family units and households. Some priority areas already exist and include social ills like gender-based violence and alcohol and drug abuse, to name a few. Now, we signed a framework agreement, and civil society committed